Good evening, everyone.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to episode 90 of Into the Outer Realm. So the countdown is on for our 100th episode, which is going to fall sometime in January with special guest, the Reverend Michael Carter. I just finished his book. I have it in the other room. It's called Initiation. It's a handbook for contactees and abductees. It's wonderful. It reminds me very much. It's a slightly different approach, but reinforces the material from Barbara Mango and Lynn Miller, who were guests on our show Convergence last year. So, hey, it's been a little while since it's just been you and I.
I know. I don't even remember when.
We had a string of really, really wonderful guests. If you missed them, go back. We had L.A. Marzulli and we had Brent Hunter. Last week we had A.P. Sylvia talking about vampires. Really nice string of guests. And then it's just us for a couple of weeks. Next Thursday is my 53rd birthday, November 4th. So you're going to do some audience appreciation, live single card readings. And rather than have a guest and us trying to chat with you on my birthday and all that, we figured that would be wonderful. So we're going to head and do that the week after Mysteries of the Moon with the Red Thread Collective. So let's go right into the chat room real quick and say some quick hellos. Hi, Lori. Hi, Michael. Hi, Colette. Let's roll the opening and then come back and get started.
Did you say what we're doing?
I was just about to. We're going to roll the opening and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our top 12 horror stories for the page and the screen. I've been getting some emails saying, I like when you're unscripted. And so that was certainly unscripted. Here we go. There exists a realm beyond our wildest dreams. A realm beyond reality that the gatekeepers and guardians have always told us consists of nothing but tricks of the eye, weather balloons, swamp gas, sand cranes, fairy tale myths of monsters, crackpot conspiracy theories, and desperate cries for attention.
We know this realm exists, and it's just beyond the horizon, the preset path, the well-worn walkways where the cynics want us to stay.
Instead, give this a listen. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, close your eyes, and fasten your mental seatbelts, because the twilight-tinged turnoff from reality's alluring highway is looming just ahead.
We're about to leave the plane of the easily explained, the couldn't possibly be's, and the no way I just saw what I saw's, for the spaces and places where everything is possible, and if you stay long enough, even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
You want something you want to say?
Yeah.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, don't even know where I am at tonight. So I just had to say that I noticed something in our intro that I never noticed before. So the last picture, I think it is the web library. Is that the last picture that comes up?
It's one of them with the moon and all?
Yeah, with the moon. I know there's a lamp in the window and the one of the first floor windows. But I just noticed, I love it. It looks like two little glowing eyes inside the window, and I've never noticed that
nice.
before.
We got to go back and look for that, and you all go back and check that out. That'll be great. So a bunch more people have joined us. Hello, Colette. Three Beard Podcast says, my beard looks great. Coming from Three Beards.
Hey,
some of the best beards on the planet. Craig and Chris and Austin.
Mothman beard oil.
No, because no. Well, no, not tonight. Oh, you put me on the spot. I have a performance tomorrow I have to tape, so I got a little just for men in here, and the beard oils mess with it. So, Lori says, love the Mothman T-shirt.
Oh,
looks great.
Thank you.
That's you're up to some great stuff, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Michael says hello from Texas. Ronald, hello. Michael
Ronald.
is wearing his Out Into the Outer Realms hoodie tonight.
I love it.
Chilly weather. And as you can see, I finally got with the program and I'm wearing my Into the Outer Realms t-shirt as well. So let's get into this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about our top 12 horror stories that we love. I was thinking about it.
Favorites.
Yeah, going back to the very beginning with us 24 years ago. They're staples of our Halloween season. And I think some interesting tidbits about some of this stuff during the research. So Michael Sanchez, he might grow his beard. It's always good for winter. It really, really does help. So, okay. So the first one is your all-time favorite.
My all-time favorite. Anybody who knows me knows this is my all-time favorite novel. And I love the 1963 movie. We'll talk about the others as well. But love this book. I read it every year in October. And I've got my bookmark here. Thank you again, Craig Ansel from Three Beards. He was so kind to make, look at this beautiful amethyst, to make this bookmark for me. And so I have it in here so I could show it tonight. Love this book. So from the movies are from the 1959.
Yeah, but we should say that this novel has spawned so many, and we're going to talk about some of them tonight. That's how we went from 10 to 12, because there's a couple we have to talk about. But it won the National Book Award, and it is considered one of the premier ghost stories published during the 20th century, and it endures very much so in the 21st century, which we're going to talk about. So
I think I'm sorry, I meant to say this before, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's like the absolutely most perfect. That's why I love it and why I read it every year. It's the most perfect ghost story I have ever read.
There you go.
Just brilliant.
So 4 years later, a film came out. If you could show that, we have the DVD version here, The Haunting. Now, this was directed by Robert Weiss. It starred Julie Harris, Claire Bloom, Richard Johnson, and Russ Tamblyn. Russ Tamblyn, of course, is the kooky doctor with the different colored glasses in West Side Story.
Look how young he is. This is Russ. Look at my finger.
Now, I have to be honest. I find Julie Harris's monologues extremely annoying and kind of off-putting.
I love them because it gives you insight into this character and how sort of out of touch. I mean, she's been caring for her mother most of all of her adult life, and she's just out of touch with reality. And that's what I love about the inner dialogue, is it lets you see that.
There you go. Hi, Chassie.
Hi, Chassie.
We had our kids over last night, but we are going to be watching your episode on Three Beards. Chassie was a guest last night talking about astrology. We look forward to catching up with that.
See that.
So then, 1999, Jan de Bont, who was the director of photography for Speed and other movies like that, gets the chance to do a movie. Now, the performances, I think, are terrific. Liam Neeson plays the doctor. You got Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is Theo. You have Owen Wilson, who's sort of the Russ Tamblyn part. And then you have Lili Taylor playing Eleanor. And I find her to be a slightly less annoying and very powerful
She's a great Eleanor. She is. The actors are great in this.
Yeah. Bruce Dern. Funny thing about locks, they make people on both sides feel a little bit safer. He's wonderful. Yeah, and I love the Dudleys. The Dudleys are very cool.
Some of the best characters written ever, I think. But then you have this crazy stuff, like CG craziness like this happening toward the end of the movie, and that's the only thing.
Yeah, it was that time period, like when Kevin Bacon came out, the movie with the Invisible Man, and suddenly it was like, oh, let's take all these horror movies and throw a lot of CGI at them. And that's really not what it's about. So it becomes a total kill fest at the end of that movie without giving away specifics, which is a bummer.
Yeah, and you have all the CG, and I just want to, by comparison, the original 1963, they do such a good job only using sound. And there's a scene that they do exactly from the novel where the girls are in a room and it's all like, it's terrifying. and it's all just done with sound. You don't need all the crazy CG effects.
Right, exactly. So now we fast forward to, and I have the wrong date down here, which neither one of us caught, so I have to remember, 2019. So 20 years later, Mike Flanagan, and we're going to be talking about Mike Flanagan actually a lot tonight, in various ways. But he did a version on Netflix. It was, many hours, 10 or 12 hours, something like that. He called it Haunting of Hill House, which I thought was a cheat because it's really not faithful to the book.
Well, not at all. And remember, I was incensed.
Yes, you were. That's right.
Oh my gosh, I'm never going to watch it. They're going to ruin my favorite novel, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I actually really liked the miniseries because it really wasn't, they weren't trying to be the book. They were just kind of loosely basing things from the book.
And really, there's really only two things. Henry Thomas is Hugh Crain. Hugh Crain, of course, was the master of the house, and so he's input into that. And you also do have the Dudleys. I don't recall the actor's name, but he was just in Midnight Mass. He was the drunk who accidentally shot the girl. Terrific actor, and I was very enamored of him a couple years ago. And it's Annabeth Gish, who I love, plays Mrs. Dudley, and she's wonderful. So now we get into our two bonuses that took us from 10 to 12, which was great. The first one is Hell House. And I just did throw out my VHS tape of this because we streamed it.
Yes. We had that.
But here's the book, though. We did have that tape forever. Years. Yeah, because I loved it. But now it's digital. I'm trying to let go of some of that, but you will see some of my VHS collection tonight, which I almost use like decoration and stuff. So Candace says that she just finished Midnight Mass. So Hell House, the book, was 1971. The film was Legend of Hell House. Both of them written by Richard Matheson, who we're also going to talk about tonight, because I have to say, more than Stephen King, more than H.P. Lovecraft, more than many people whose stuff I have on my shelves back there in my horror section, I love Richard Matheson. I thought he was just a genius. And that film, it's Pamela Franklin, it's Roddy McDowall, it's Clive Revill, it's Gayle Hunnicutt, who I have a little crush on. Roddy McDowall is wonderful, right? Belasco.
Roddy McDowall is wonderful.
He's wonderful. And I can see Cornelius from Planet of the Apes as he's speaking. It was right around that same time. So wonderful. Hell House is often compared to Haunting of Hill House. You have a doctor, you have sensitives, you have a really nasty house.
In a haunted house.
Right. Yeah. And followed by Stephen King, who's never shy about homages, and actually Shirley Jackson is one of his major influences along, I think, with Richard Bloch. Rose Red was another TV miniseries. It was very good. Nancy Travis, Julian Sands, who I love. Julian Sands is sort of the Roddy McDowall character. And a young Jimmy Simpson, who really was a standout in Westworld. In the first season of Westworld, he's also in it. He plays at first I was like, wait, Jimmy Simpson, but he plays the journalist who sneaks in.
Oh, yeah.
And some bad things happen
We
to him.
haven't watched this one for a while, actually.
No, we got to revisit it. And really a bunch of them, even though Halloween, we've been so busy. So let's move to...
Just want to say... No. I just want to say, if you're a fan of like the 1970s horror movies, of course, this is great too. This is not from the 1970s, but Hell House is. Gotta watch it if you really like those old 1970s.
Yeah, we watched it last week.
We just watched it.
Yeah.
Every time we watch it, I'm just like, oh man, I just forgot how amazing this movie is. So
another really good one. So this is technically number 4. The Changeling.
Another great 1970s horror movie in that same...
1980, actually.
Oh, is it?
On the nosy.
But it has that flavor.
Oh, it does.
When the pacing... What I love about those movies, particularly from like, 70s, early 80s, the pacing is so different. So much slower. They take their time. Even in the 1960s ones, but definitely I noticed it in the 1970s.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I watch The Godfather or I watch The Great Gatsby with Robert Redford, the kids are like, "Oh my gosh, get on with it."
I know. Well, I guess we're used to it because we grew up with
Directed by Peter
I love
Medak,
that
stars
so
George C.
pacing.
Scott, and boy is he
It's
good.
so good.
Also, Trish Vanderveer and Melvin Douglas, and I have to say, there's two things that stand out for this movie. Why it's in my top 10 perennially. The background is just that George C. Scott is a composer. He moves into a house. He's trying to figure out a work. The house has a reputation, sound familiar, and it's haunted by a little boy, and he unravels the mystery. I have to say, the seance is amazing. The scribbling on the paper, and the paper's going, and the voice starts, and all that. And I really do think there's a scene in the first Insidious film. Now, because it's Blumhouse and because it's the 21st century, we got to go over the top. So she's wearing the World War II style gas mask and all that.
It is kind of a cool look.
It is a cool look, but I think
aesthetic.
it owes a lot. I haven't done the research to confirm this. I think it owes a lot to that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then really the reveal and the final confrontation with Melvin Douglas and George C. Scott, if there are any actors out there or people who, hey, great acting is one of your primary drivers of what you watch, you got to watch that scene because it's amazing. Now, this is something that I didn't know. The screenplay is actually based on events that writer Russell Hunter claimed he experienced while he was living in the Henry Treat Rogers mansion in the Cheeseman Park neighborhood of Denver, Colorado. Colorado is very haunted place.
Oh yeah, we gotta go there. Sometime.
Expansive, but and that happened in the late 1960s. So based on a true incident,
which is really cool. The other thing I wanted to say, just like these others, you know, The Haunting, Rose Red, Hell House, the Changeling does a great job of making the house its own character. So you get a really good sense when George C. Scott's character is like first inhabiting the house and moving in, and just this vast, you know, vacant mansion, and you just can just feel the you know, what it feels like to be alone in a creepy space like that. And the house really does, it's its own character in the movie.
That's a great point. And I don't want to go too far afield because we want to keep going with this, but we're the guests, so to speak, so that's good. But the thing, I lost the thread, gosh darn it. No. Okay, if I think of it, I'll come back to it. Let's continue on. So we've been on this huge Barbara Hershey kick lately.
Love Barbara Hershey. Have always loved her as an actress, and this is again one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it is. We wouldn't be talking.
I didn't love. There was a new Blumhouse that was made for Amazon recently, The Manor. Not on probably my top 50 list. But Barbara Hershey was wonderful in it. The nursing home.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Infinitely forgettable. Not something we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about in 30 or 40
That
years.
says something that I already forgot it. We just watched
So
it
this
not
was
that
directed
long
by
ago.
Sidney J. Furie, and I remember what I was going to say. It's an interesting thing with about haunted homes or haunted houses, and not even knowing that we were going to do this work, because I came up with it a decade ago, and it's on my list. It's an anthology called Beneath a Blood Red Roof.
Yep.
Based on a house that was across from our holler, a big 6,000 square foot house where nobody had luck or good times. Things went badly.
Bad for everybody who lived there.
But I have this theory that houses are just houses, and the people make them sick. The people make them crazy. Mm-hmm. So this anthology is about a house that slowly goes crazy, that becomes possessed by the people. Just kind of flipping the bones a little. Steve in Intermill, I was speaking to him the other night. Stephen, of course, from the Buckley Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, the bumper stickers on the top shelf there above the ghost lights. Really enjoying the book Bell, Book, and Camera by Heather Green about witches in film.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Well, very cool.
We'll
We're going to have to get that.
Out. Absolutely.
Do we have some witches on the list? I can't. I'm trying to think. Which movies? Yeah.
I don't know.
So we'll have to see. Stay with us. So The Entity, written by Frank D. Felita, adapted his 1978 novel. So a lot of these are adaptations from source material, which I love. And I'm going to talk about at the end of the night, be a little self-indulgent, talk about one of my novels that I adapted from some very great novels. So Barbara Hershey plays a single mother who's raped and tormented by an invisible assassin. I would say in this day and age, we have to kind of put a trigger warning on this. Assailant. Yeah, an assailant. Almost an assassin.
Almost.
But terrible.
Almost.
But the scenes are very intense and she does an amazing time. So interestingly enough, and I didn't know this, but you knew it, it's based on the 1974 case of a woman named Doris Bither.
I did not know her name, but I did know that it was based on.
And she claimed to have she was repeatedly sexually assaulted, 2 adverbs in a row, shame on me, by an invisible entity and later by the ghost of 3 men. Now, her story progressed over time. She had some problems with substance abuse, with mental health. She lived in a poor neighborhood, had a bad history with men. They say she didn't get along with her sons. This is where credibility issues and all leak into a story we simply don't know. I mean, obviously, incubus and succubus is a thing.
Yeah. And without seeing, I'd love to see the notes, like, from the parapsychology.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the time,
do that, but
and it doesn't exist anymore, but at UCLA, there's a parapsychology lab and they did tests at the time, and they found numerous luminous anomalies during their study of her. So there was some evidence. And again, I haven't been able to find pictures or video or anything like that.
But something that I wanted to say is that it is very common now. She had previously.
That I did not know.
We'll have to look that up, Ronald. Thank you.
Yeah.
She had previously experienced some trauma, perhaps sexual trauma. Her life was, from all accounts, not going that well. A lot of stress, discord with her sons, financial issues, all of that. And all of those types of things, can set the tone. And I'm not saying that they necessarily would, but they can set the tone to attract, some low level, vibrations into your life. So I'm not saying that was the cause of it, but when you're in a very stressful situation like that and your life is, kind of not going along very well, it is, it just makes you more vulnerable is what I guess I'm trying to say. So it's interesting.
So another recommendation here, Lori's finishing up the new Alice Hoffman book, The Book of Magic, a novel, next in a series. And it's a sequel to Practical Magic.
Oh, we love Practical Magic.
Yeah, if we were doing a top 20, because there's only so many spaces. But if there was a top 20, it would definitely be Practical Magic. Just real quickly, Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock,
great movie.
Gordon Visnick, who's scary AF in that movie.
Oh my gosh.
Also, Diane Wiest.
Yes.
And Stockard Channing.
Stockard Channing, the ants.
They are
so
phenomenal.
good.
Almost scene stealers, really.
They really
so
are.
Very cool. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you,
Another
Lori.
good tidbit. So you introduced this to me. I think I've introduced many, many things to you, and we've discovered so many things together. But this, Tanya and I were not dating very long, and she kind of found out I was into horror and stuff. And she said, we have to watch In the Mouth of Madness. So we ordered it. We bought it somewhere. Let's see. What's the tagline?
I had previously seen it. This is one of those movies that has a scene that you get in your head, and it's one of those scenes like sometimes this happens for me with The Exorcist. It's one of those scenes where if you're alone and it's dark and you're already a little scared, or you've woken up from a bad dream or something, it's the scene you do not want to pop up into your mind. And that movie has one of those scenes.
Hi, Angelina.
Hi, Angelina.
Angelina just had what we hope and pray is a very successful surgery on her cancer journey.
Yes,
and so
we are
glad
thinking about you every day.
Yeah. Oh, you just can't unsee it. Okay, Lori knows that movie. That's great. That's awesome. I think also along with the bicycle, the other thing is the creepy innkeeper.
Yes.
And that's all I want to say about that.
We don't want to give it away, but you'll know the scenes, I think, when you see them. I think there's no mistaking them.
So anyway, 1984 American horror film directed by and scored by John Carpenter. We just watched The Fog with Adrienne Barbeau.
That was really good too.
Interesting. That's an interesting film. So I posted about it. You know, I always take pictures of our TV and post about these things on Instagram and Facebook and all. So many people said that's one of their all-time favorite films, The Fog. So very simple, just a clear, crisp story with really good performances, and there you go. So in The Mouth of Madness stars Sam Neill. He's an insurance investigator. He's really awesome. Jurgen Prochnow plays a character named Sutter Kane. Stephen King, anyone? But he's actually an amalgam of Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft, which is very cool. And of course, the name comes from H.P. Lovecraft's novella At the Mountains of Madness. So it's very cool. So what if horror novels started to come to life? Now, Stephen King has the Dark Half, and he's played with this a lot. His Dark Tower series, which is on the shelf up there behind me, takes up, you know, over a foot of space. Just tremendous. He even puts himself in it. Now, here's something I didn't know. This is the third installment of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, as he calls it. The Thing from 1982 and The Prince of Darkness, which I have not seen.
No.
Nor heard of.
I did not know that either.
87.
And I knew I had seen The Thing like many years ago, but I had to look it up because I couldn't remember. It has Kurt Russell, which means we just have to watch it again because I love him. And Prince of Darkness seems very interesting as well when I looked up the synopsis on that. So we have to watch those.
All right, so we're going to do that, and maybe we'll report back. If anybody's seen The Prince of Darkness, hey, what is it about? Because it sounds like maybe a vampire movie.
Well, no, it's about they find some slime in a vial, and the slime is the essence of Satan.
Oh.
And then the slime gets out and gets on people and infects them, and they're like Satan zombies.
I love it.
It's kind of a cool concept. I think we need to watch it.
Candace says, yes, watch The Prince of Darkness. Okay, so we're definitely going to do that. I think we should go back and watch The Thing.
Yes.
And then get into The Prince of Darkness. So it's a John Carpenter kind of thing. Next, this is one of my favorite things that Stephen King has ever done. And we do have other Stephen King stuff on the list, but it is Storm of the Century. Do you guys know this? It's great here because it's a Maine story out on an island in Maine, and a big storm is coming in. And this guy, Andre Lenoge, comes in, and he gets arrested. He's a real creepy guy. I love Comfior, and is one of my favorite things that he's ever done. Creepy.
It's a great miniseries, classic Stephen King type situation. Takes place in a small town in Maine.
Yeah. Well, an island.
Yeah.
It's not Castle Rock. He moves it out onto an island, and the storm is coming, and everybody in the town has secrets. I will tell you my all-time favorite Stephen King. Now, this could have easily been on the list too. Needful Things.
Needful Things is so good.
They kind of ruined the ending in the movie.
I like the book better than the movie.
Yeah. And Ed Harris, who I absolutely adore, is not terrific but Max von Sydow as the shopkeeper. If you are a horror writer, I don't know if Jessica Knuckles is with us, other aspiring or actual novelists, the plotting of Needful Things is absolutely amazing.
Oh,
it's a clinic.
Yeah,
it's a clinic.
Really
So we're covering a lot more than 12 tonight. So, but anyway, Andre Lenoche shows up, and it's a situation, and it reminded me a little. There's a scene in Midnight Mass, right, which is another Mike Flanagan piece, and Mike Flanagan has kind of become the Stephen King borrower. The way that Stephen King has borrowed from Shirley Jackson and other people. And it's a lineage. And I borrow too. It's part of the process. You stand on the shoulders of giants and you remain humble. But his Midnight Mass has the same kind of thing where people are gathered together in a confined space. In one of them, it's in a church. In this one, I think it's in the town hall. And they're kind of forced in there, and they have to make a choice with I think when he makes the presentation to them, they're in the town hall because they're up by the lectern, and Tim is it Tim Matheson? Tim Daly presents the choice to everyone, and his wife gets all upset with him. Anyway, watch Storm of the Century this winter.
We got to
You
rewatch
definitely
it 'cause
gotta do
I've
it.
obviously forgotten some things.
Yeah.
It's
So
very good. I
let's
do remember that.
let's do one more. And Lori commented on Tanya's t-shirt. She's got an exciting line of stuff going on. So we're gonna run a little 40-second commercial for what she has going on. But let's first talk, of course, about The Shining now. You talk about books that make you want to be. The Shining, I must have been 12 years old. I'm reading The Shining, The Stand. My godmother, I used to babysit my cousin, and they had all these Stephen King books. And so I read The Shining way back when, completely blew me away. The novel is amazing. So then comes out the Jack Nicholson classic, right? Here's Johnny, and all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and all the rest. And you can't really see him, but he's up there next to that white thing on the top shelf there. That's Jack, and above him is the all work and no play. I love the movie. I think you have to take the book, the movie, and the Steven Weber miniseries with Rebecca De Mornay, which was from 1997. So novel, 1977. Film, 1980. It's a moment in time. Stanley Kubrick. And brilliant, right? Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Scatman Crothers. Yes, ma'am.
And if you like the 1980 movie, there's a documentary that you might be interested in that presents a lot of very interesting conspiracy theories.
It's The Room.
Room 237.
Room 237. And the more I watch it, the less I like it.
I know.
But it's important, though.
And a lot of the theories I don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
It's just very interesting that people thought these things up. I think you should watch it if you like the movie.
So if you don't know, and I want to just put some of these up. So Lori said, ooh, The Shining. Candace said, you have picked some of my favorites. And Angelina says, The Shining is a classic. It really is.
You got to put that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Things are going. Yeah. There we go. There's Jessica. Needful Things rocks. But yes, the books are always better. I have one that's coming up where I disagree with that. We'll save that for later. But I actually think that the film is better than the book. But Jessica's here. It could be why she's such a great novelist. She knows needful things. Definitely a clinic. Michael says, I think one of the best ever scary books turned movies, Ray Barry's. Oh, Something Wicked that could be on too.
Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah.
We just only had 10 spots, but if we're going to do more, that would be on there. We watch another one we watch every year. And can't think of the actor's name. Why am I drawing the book?
Oh, it's Jonathan
Price? No.
Jonathan Price, yes.
Price. Oh my gosh, he's so good.
Yeah, just terrific. Yeah, definitely, Jessica, read the novel and see how he maps out what everybody does to everyone and the ramifications, how it comes back. It's a clinic. It's amazing. So where are we? So 1997. 17 years have gone by, and Stephen King has just been furious about the Stanley Kubrick movie.
He never liked it. He thought Jack Nicholson was way over the top.
Well, yeah. Also, it's sort of autobiographical in a way, The Shining, because Stephen King struggled with alcohol for a long time. It's a writer who struggles with alcohol. He's having trouble with his family, and yet in this place that exists in the mind or in another realm, he's drawn to it. So they try to remedy it. So Stephen King says, look, I am writing my own version, and we need to have this happen here. They're starting to pitch us down. That's wonderful. So stay with us, folks, if we get a little choppy. I ran a speed test today. It's not us. They just start messing with us, which is a shame. Anyway, it's Steven Weber, it's Rebecca De Mornay. It really is about the analogs of addiction as they go, as they relate to horror, which has really become very much a 21st century thing.
Is, if I remember correctly, where is it? The Netflix Haunting of Hill.
Yes, well, what Mike Flanagan has been doing great, and I think he actually does it better if he just wouldn't write those long monologues. Mike, if you're listening, Stop with the long monologues. They dragged out, like that was the major criticism of Midnight Mass, right? But anyway,
I didn't mind it at first, and then after
right.
a while, it was like, okay, I see what you're saying.
So he's part of the Blumhouse / Jordan Peele school, where it says monsters are one thing, but how people treat each other and the secrets within families and addiction and all that kind of stuff is the greatest horror there is. For Jordan Peele, it's racism.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense. It's absolutely horrific.
What was that just the series that we watched?
Which series?
It'll come to me.
Angelina says Christine the Car movie. That's one where I like the book much better, but the film is not bad. It's not bad. When I get a book in a book haul, I just go back and read something from my Stephen King collection. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. Krusty Antiques. I think this is a new name. Happy Halloween.
Hi, Krusty
Nice
Antiques.
to see you. Steven said, start forwarding through the monologues. I get the point. Move on with it. There you go. If he's listening, he writes them for his wife, which is beautiful. But anyway, pacing, especially in horror.
The H.P. Lovecraft one, the series that we watched.
I don't know, babe. Drawing a blank. I don't know. So I'm going to keep going here. You try to remember. So, of course, the sequel to The Shining is Dr. Sleep, book and film. The film, Mike Flanagan. I think it really put him on the map, although Oculus, which was a short film that got made into a full-length film, is pretty darn good. Dr. Sleep, I like. I love Rebecca Ferguson. It's not her best thing. I think she was kind of miscast as the villain of that.
I like Dr. Sleep quite a bit.
But we have watched it twice because Ewan McGregor is just...
He's always good.
Krusty Antiques is new. Thank you so much. Hello. Welcome for joining us tonight. You're here for fun. I think we're having fun tonight. So here we go. And Henry Thomas does Jack Torrance. And he doesn't do a Jack Nicholson impersonation, which I love. What he does is he stays true to Jack Torrance. And it's a subtle distinction, but it's wonderful. I loved it. Hey, I don't know if everybody know this. I don't know if you know this, but there's a spin-off series called Overlook, examining the different stories in the hotel. J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot are developing it, but in August of last year, HBO said, you know what, J.J., I don't think we're into it. We're not going to do this. So he's shopping it around, which, good news, bad news, because J.J. Abrams swings and doesn't always get a home run. So I don't know. There's been some other things of his. Oh, Castle Rock.
I
skipped that. Concept. I skipped Castle Rock. Cool. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Colette says, I have a lot of DVDs, mostly paranormal and horror, blood and guts sort of film. We don't do slasher. If you notice, there's no slashers on our list. I don't like them. But she loves The Entity.
Halloween movies because really only for one reason, because I like Jamie Lee Curtis quite a bit, but I'm not really into that kind of blood.
I do
slash them up kind of thing.
I have to say, I really like the Rob Zombie Halloween. I just do. I really like it. It hits the right notes for me. And when the kid changed, when Michael changes, it's really something. It's my favorite. Chris says, I could never figure out The Shining. Yeah, depending on if you read the book or watched the first film or what, it gets murky. Because Stephen King wrote it about one thing, and then it was presented as something else. So, Lori says she can't really do slasher films either.
Yeah, I don't like all blood and gore.
One of Stephen's friends is in the documentary 237 about all the fan theories about The Shining. Oh, let us know which one.
Yeah.
CL says, and welcome, CL. I tend to agree, but I love Rob Zombie movies. I have to say, I haven't watched the others. The Rob Zombie ones, I'm too chicken. Yeah. House of a Thousand Corpses, I'm just too. I have a prolonged soundtrack piece with like excerpts from it and all. Gosh, and that's about enough for me. Yeah, he's intense. He's very, very intense. Lame claim to fame, Rob Zombie took his name from White Zombie with Bela Lugosi. I was in the remake of White Zombie in 2012.
A remake. Were there more?
Well, yeah, one of the remakes. So yeah, definitely. And I'm just a baby because I think Rob Zombie is a terrific filmmaker. So tell you what, guys, we're gonna ask for 40 seconds of your time so that we can show you what Tanya's working on. She has a whole new exciting line. You're designing with our son Dan. You're designing with our daughter Jolie, which is pretty darn cool, a family affair.
This is one of my many new Mothman designs. I draw them, and then my kids help me make them digitally.
You got a Cricut going. We got deliveries of mug presses and a new printer. We're getting in it. We're getting serious.
We got stickers. We got T-shirts.
Let's roll the commercial and show them. And we're back. That just kind of shut off there.
That just kind of ended.
Gone.
Wasn't ready.
Let's see here. Yeah, there's a lot of love for Rob Zombie and for White Zombie and for all that good stuff. So they didn't know what to do with Bela Lugosi after Dracula. So, but anyway, okay, let's get into Edgar Allan Poe. You've had this book forever.
So let me just say, I think I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. My parents there was this bookshelf in our hallway just outside my bedroom door. And I was always kind of drawn to this book. And then around 11 or 12, I pluck it off the shelf. I start reading it. And one of the first things I read, I think, was Annabelle Lee. But one of the second things I read was the poem, The Raven. And I was just in love with Edgar Allan Poe's work from that moment on.
Here's The Raven. So I want to say, if you would like to see Tanya and I read The Raven, you can go to my YouTube channel, Joey Medea. We just reposted it last weekend. You were like a zombie dead doll girl wearing glasses.
Whatever
so that you could see it because we're old. But
right.
Yes, and then also I do a reading which is from my one-man show Poe: A Haunted Life, which I got to do at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which is really fun to play Poe and 5 of his unreliable narrators, and also what's his name, his detective. I can't believe it. I'm drawing a blank. I'm thinking too many things. But here's Annabelle Lee. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. So there are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful adaptations of his stories, and then some that don't quite land. Michael says, we're twins. I fell in love with The Raven when I was young too. Yeah. Crows scare the S out of me. Raven, crow, my totem.
Mm-hmm.
Blue jay, that whole family of corvids. Almost said the other word. Corvids. Don't shut us down. I'm talking about corvids here. Lori says, you know who else loved The Raven? Maya Angelou.
Oh, and
yes,
I love
absolutely.
Maya Angelou. Oh, she's just another.
It is almost a perfect poem. So I think The Raven, for many, many, many poets, did the same thing as Shirley Jackson's Haunting did for writers. Absolutely. You play Poe at Tala? That's outstanding. Poe is all goth girl's fantasy husband, but really yeah. So I came in at the very end and I finished the recording that's online doesn't have the last couple stanzas because I did those live and then I did Annabelle Lee. So I did The Pit and the Pendulum, Telltale Heart, oh my goodness, Mask of the Red Death, House of Usher, and I believe one other. Telltale Heart, did I say that? And sort of had the mystery about the circumstances of a death and all that. But then I got to do 40 minutes of question and answer with the audience as Edgar Allan Poe, which was quite wonderful. I hope he was pleased. So let's talk about specifically, though, these movies. House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, Comedy of Terrors, and The Raven. So 2 heavy dramas and 2 comedies. What do they have in common? They were all produced in the 1960s, first half of the 1960s, by American International, Nicholas and I believe Zukov. They were fairly low budget. Most of them were helmed by Roger Corman. The only one that wasn't was Comedy of Terrors, which was helmed by Jacques Tourneur, an all-out comedy. So maybe Corman just wasn't into all-out comedy. So House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, these are a match set, right? You can watch these in an evening. We watch them over this every year, right? You got Mark Damon in one of them, and you have John Kerr in the other one. Kind of similar characters. They struggle with the dialogue. They struggle with the period piece. But some of the best stuff that Vincent Price did.
Oh, yeah. Again, classic Vincent Price. If you love Vincent Price and you love those old movies, you gotta see them if you haven't seen them.
And if you watch those 2 movies, then you will see stock footage of burning walls and all that kind of stuff.
The same.
So
we always joke, there it is.
Yeah.
And in one, the castle is burning it, but it's wood.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So no, stay with us. I think there'll be some movies. Don't give up. Definitely don't give up. It says I give up. I'm a slasher
Nothing
freak.
wrong with slasher
No, that's
films.
okay. It's just because we're
Nothing
scaredy
wrong with
cats
them.
mostly.
Just not our cup of tea.
Yeah, not
to say
elitist,
there's anything wrong with them.
scaredy cats.
Yeah,
absolutely.
many people love them.
So Roger Corman helmed most of these movies, but others were The Tales of Terror, which I think has some great stuff. Basil Rathbone, Peter Lorre, Joyce James. Of course, in Tales of Terror is the Black Cat. With the wine tasting contest, and it's sort of Cast of Amontillado.
Yes.
That was the other one that I did, Cast of Amontillado with Montresor.
Peter Lorre is so funny in that.
And then there's The Haunted Palace with Deborah Paget, who dated Elvis for a while. It's absolutely beautiful. And Lon Chaney Jr. There's The Tomb of Ligeia, The Mask of the Red Death, of course, Poe with consumption, tuberculosis, took so many people in his life. And also, of course, The Raven, which we're going to talk about next. So
one of my favorite things, this is going to sound so weird, but we've been watching pretty much all of these that we're talking about for at least 20 years every year. We just have these traditions, these family traditions, and our kids were quoting these movies when they were really little.
True. Anyway, you have to watch them. They're wonderful.
You'll know what
Chris says, I love cats. So you definitely want to watch Tales of Terror.
Yes.
And also Comedy of Terrors.
Which
we're going to talk about a little more. Then
Rhubarb the cat.
Yes. Wonderful. They get great cat actors for Peter Lorre, Joyce Jameson films, which is wonderful. So anyway, there's the Comedy of Terrors. We absolutely love it. I just want to say The Raven features a young Jack Nicholson. It's one of the first things he did. He did a movie called The Terror with Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff is also in The Raven, but even you can see the genius of Jack Nicholson as a young man when he's playing with Peter Lorre's buttons, just going for it. And in it, every single time. So getting a lot of, I'm going to have to go back. Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak in Bell, Book, and Candle. I have to watch it. I love Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
The Moon, Mary, the Moon coming up on that time there. So it says Bell, Book, and Candle. Infuriates me at the end. No spoilers. So I had to take that off there. And Comedy of Terrors is just funny, right? They're undertakers who are totally crooked. Boris Karloff plays a senile old man. Basil Rathbone does hysterical Shakespeare.
What
jiggery pokery is this? So he's wonderful. I love Basil Rathbone. So it's sort of a perfect storm, all that kind of stuff. And then we want to mention, this is the only one that we don't like that we're putting on, but we want to let you know it's out there. It's actually full of great actors. The Raven. This came out in 2012. It was a great idea. Let's take all of Poe's different murders and have someone committing them in the last days of Poe's life before he died under very mysterious circumstances. Again, a great idea that just wasn't executed well, but it has John Cusack, it has Alice Eve, it has Brendan Gleeson, it has Oliver Jackson Cohen, who's in Mike Flanagan's Haunting of Hill House. He plays the brother who's the drug addict. Brendan Coyle, who you probably know as Bates from Downton Abbey, as well as Kevin McNally, who I love, and Luke Evans, who sort of hit and miss for me, although I like him better. I really like him in The Alienist.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of come into his own. All right, let's get into it. One of our all-time favorites. And if Jessica is still with us, this is the one where the film is actually, to me, better than the book. The book has a lot of extra storylines. It kind of gets a little convoluted and a little bit of diluted, but but this is the movie version of the book, oddly enough. So there's Mr. Kevin Bacon. I think this is probably my favorite thing that Kevin Bacon has done.
I think for me too, and I love Kevin Bacon. I mean, I think he's great.
He's had some challenging roles, like the one
movie
about the guy who escapes from I don't know if it's Alcatraz or a different island, and Gary Oldman slices his Achilles heel with the razor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was based on the true story. He's very amazing in that. Christian, the Jack Nicholson, Christian Slater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which isn't fair. Christian Slater's a great actor. But anyway, Stir of Echoes is just terrific. It's a movie we watch all the time.
Great
Kevin
movie.
Dunn is in it. Catherine Irby's in it. She went on to do some SUV, Law and Order SUV. She was the star of that. And Ileana Douglas is in it. Just wonderful. Stir of Echoes is fabulous. Absolutely. Yeah. But I do have to say, everybody's kind of agreeing with that, which is great. If you read the book, I think the movie's better. It's just cleaner, that kind of stuff. So I said that I was going to be a little self-indulgent, and I actually don't even have the book with me now, but I'm going to lump three books together to end us and take us home. And that's Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, and The Island of Dr. Moreau. Some of you know that I've written, well, it started out as a musical, also at TALA, also at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. It starred Robbie Justice and myself, music by myself, and Knight Berman Jr., music by Knight. Lyrics by me, a musical called Three Gothic Doctors and Their Sons that tied together. It asks the story, it asks the question, what if Frankenstein, Jekyll, and Moreau, all of their journals were found by one ambitious surgeon who thought, okay, the three of them, each one of them screwed up and made their mistakes, but I'm so brilliant, I have their combined knowledge, I can do better. And he does it. Well, the musical was successful. The novel came out about 1.5 years ago, and right before the novel came out, it got picked up. They asked me to write an expanded version of the musical, and it's going to be produced in Los Angeles. It was supposed to be produced this year, 2 different times, but that word we're not allowed to say, a certain thing that's kept all of us home and theaters closed and all of that, has delayed it. So it's going to be sometime next year, and it will be a live performance that's also streamed live internationally. Then they're going to film it all during Tech Week, and they're going to film it the night of the show with all different cameras and angles and all that good stuff, and cut it together into Blu-ray sort of live film. The process is called virtual theatrical. We're real excited about all that. Jessica says, I'm on it, going to have to start it and see. It's been too long for me to remember the comparisons. Yeah, definitely so. I read it a number of years ago, too. Never heard of the film. I guess Stir of Echoes. Yeah, worth checking out. Maybe it wasn't college or...
Yeah, if you can find it, cool. It definitely worth seeing. It's
a
fabulous movie.
So Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, Island of Dr. Moreau. This is the Mad Doctor trilogy. So Island of Dr. Moreau, of course, is an H.G. Wells book about a doctor who's trying to perfect the human race by torturing animals and hybrids. And I revisit this in some further works. This is a heavy thing, especially these days with genetic modification, all of that kind of stuff, weird hybridization things going on, cloning and all that. And then two film adaptations, very, very different. One with Burt Lancaster and Michael York, the other very controversial with Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer. Both of them just kind of go, I'm just going to do my own thing and be wacky and crazy. Ron Perlman is wonderful as the Sayer of the Law. Actually, he's not the Sayer of the Law. He is Hyena Man, and he is wonderful. Colette, thank you for complimenting the live feed. We appreciate it. We're coming to the end here, but
thank you.
So so tons of great adaptations. Here's Jekyll and Hyde, of course. There's a PBS miniseries. I have the DVD downstairs. I forgot to bring it up, that I'm gonna watch. That just came out a couple years ago. Jekyll and Hyde the musical. So in that tradition, you can take horror and make really good musicals out of it. And then, of course, Frankenstein, which has many, many layers. It was written by Mary Shelley. When it first came out, they didn't even let her use her real name. It was under someone else's name, I think maybe her father's or something like that.
Yes,
so it took a little time for that to happen. Of course, her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, was all about the rights of women. She was a pioneer in that area, and there are tones of that here. And certainly in my movie, in my project, novel, musical, soon to be hybrid film, Three Gothic Doctors, we definitely explore that, because when you take women out of the equation and men try to play God to create things, it causes a whole bunch of problems. So the themes that are very resonant for me, like in most of my works, is the relationship between fathers and sons. Also, it's white male privilege. Let's be honest about it. Also, the dangers of technology and responsibility for what we create. Three Gothic doctors and their sons. They reject them out of hand because they're not perfect like they want them to be. Again, that just goes back to that fathers and sons. When fathers reject their sons for not being perfect, bad stuff happens. So I just want to show you real quick Frankenstein, the Hammer films. Of course, don't forget that there's the original Universal film with Boris Karloff. Then I want to hold this one out a little. Here's an adaptation with Patrick Bergin and Randy Quaid. This is one of my favorites. This is wonderful. Randy Quaid is absolutely amazing in this. I forgot that I actually finally got this. Here's another one, Frankenstein, the True Story with Seymour, Jane Seymour. Which is pretty interesting, pretty good. The more intelligent the monster, the better. I like it. The Revenge of Frankenstein. So Peter Cushing, of course, Christopher Lee and the Hammer one. Then you have this one. It didn't quite land. James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe. You know why? Because the director took it over and turned it into something it was never meant to be. This was written by Max Landis before he fell out of favor with the whole Me Too movement. So it can kind of be a hot mess. It's not terrible, though. Of course, a comedic take, the classic Young Frankenstein. We watch it every year.
Absolute favorite Frankenstein.
And then
The candle.
where is it? If you guys remember this, Sting as Victor Frankenstein. And Jennifer
I
Beal.
was gonna say, is that Jennifer Beal? Also,
Yeah, the bride. Have you never seen this?
Hasselhoff. I just had to say.
Yeah, well, Hasselhoff. Yeah, well, watch it anyway. He's not terrible in it. He's really not. And then going back to Jekyll and Hyde, and an alternative version, Mary Riley, the housekeeper.
That is a good movie.
And Malkovich, I have to say, is very, very high up there as far as Jekyll and Hyde for me.
Yeah.
But there've been so many good ones.
Julia Roberts, always good.
Yeah. So, yep, there you go. The Bride and Old School Fade. Okay. Well, thank you. I don't know if that's true, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back again.
Not even close to true.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's all we have.
That's it.
So next week, again, it's my birthday. If you want to come spend an hour with us on my birthday, tell you what, you'll get a one-card reading from this amazing lady. Those are always our most popular shows because you are one of the smartest people that anybody knows. You are amazing. And so that's how we're going to spend my birthday. So we're very excited. Tune in. And the week after, this was Lori Osborne's idea. Red Thread Collective is going to do Mysteries of the Moon. We got to get Whip Kraken we got some documentaries that we need to watch to fill out our research. We're going to do that. We've been so busy. Next week, November 1st, our lives may change in an incredible way. Okay. Tanya doesn't want to talk about it. I can get some good mental info about it. So happy early birthday. Thank you.
We will or we will not talk about it next week. It just depends.
Oh, right. Okay. So you've been warned. So if it doesn't come up, it didn't go great on the first. The Oracle has spoken. So it's Halloween weekend.
Have fun.
Happy Halloween.
Be
If
safe.
if you're home and you're looking for something, check some of these things out that we mentioned. We are tomorrow. You have a prior commitment, but I'm going to be on the Madsen Mitchell show, I think, for the 5th time, and I'm being paired with Nicole Strickland.
Mhm.
Amazing. Wrote
She's
3 books
wonderful.
about the Haunted
Yes,
Queen Mary.
she knows so much.
We've been on her show. She was on our show, and we're talking about ghost ships. And Craig, if you're still with us, thank you. I was on Three Beards 3 weeks ago talking about ghost ships. Gary and Suzanne heard it, said, hey, we want you to come on our show, and we're going to bring Nicole on too. So that'll be very, very good. And let me see. Saturday night, we're on Ramona's Other Truth, Ramona Scott.
Mhm.
Go to Ramona's page, Ramona Scott, Scott. For the Other Truth we were on last week.
And also on Sunday, aren't we joining Anne and Renata in Australia?
Yes, at 8:30 in the
Down
morning,
under?
because it'll be late at night. They're doing a 4-hour, I think they're on Newcastle Radio. It's a fairly new gig for them. We're going to be checking in to say hi on their show, Superstars. I call them the Ab Fab of Australia. But on Ramona's show, we're going to be wearing our ufology hats. We had our ghost and spirit hats on last week, and we've been getting some very, very odd reports. Some other people out there, I think, have gotten them too. Weird alien beings that people are seeing. Chicago, New Jersey, here in Ohio, West Virginia, Gulf of Mexico. Very weird. Florida. We've lined up. We have a person involved with NASA, a professor, and also involved in Princeton, the astronomy department there, is going to be a special guest to talk about these weird things. So a little different for us, but that's going to be Saturday night, 8 to 10 our time. 7 to 9 we'll be posting about that. Oh, Lori says she loves Ramona. Awesome.
Halloween treat.
Michael says he's going to be busy conjuring demons that night. Wow, Sunday night? Okay. Saturday night, Michael is a contributor for those beings. He checked in with some of his different scrying tools.
Yep.
So Michael will be with us. So check it out. Well, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, me too.
So
I
join
just
us.
want to say,
Go ahead.
Have fun. It's like the best holiday. I think
It is pretty darn cool.
Halloween.
Of course, we would
best
say that
holiday,
we got
the most
spooky
fun.
back behind us and
Now
all.
you have all these cool recommendations. Go watch some scary movies, eat some candy, have some fun.
We are all aliens
We
for
are
sure.
all
Star
aliens.
people. Star people
We're
we are.
all aliens.
And we have some experts who are going to be coming on talking about that very thing, this whole idea of they're out to get us and we have to be defensive and all that. I think if they wanted to hurt us, they would have done us they would have done us. I got my Italian up there. They would have done us good a long time ago. So here we go. So we're all good. Join us next week on Into the Outer Realms. Where?
If no, that didn't work. Where?
Oh my goodness.
I don't
You
know
people
what's wrong
wanted
with
us to
me.
be on our own. Now you're getting it.
The
We're all
paranormal
stardust
and
and star people.
Supernatural are just
The paranormal and the natural. Keep good thought for the first,
normal
folks.
and the natural.
Please. Because it could be awesome. Take care. Good night, everyone.
Have fun, everyone.